the problem is, I think it's became this thing where like you have to go through high school, and now people are kind of thinking you have to go through college too, and they're not looking at tech schools, or just, you know, getting into some kind of career that doesn't require a college degree and working your way up. And so now there's all these degrees that, yeah, they don't really do anything for you. And that's unfortunate, you know? And so it's like, yeah, you are wasting your time going, but there's still a lot of degrees and things that prepare you very well if you continue with that degree and that line of career, you know? So for me, my undergrad was in entrepreneurship. That's what I'm still doing today. So absolutely, my degree helped tremendously. I wouldn't trade it for the world, you know? But if I had gotten that entrepreneurship degree and then decided, I don't know, I was gonna be a car mechanic, let's say, then yeah, it would have been a waste of time, and I would have been paying off student loans that I didn't need. So
yeah.
Welcome to Old Guy Talks to Me, a podcast dedicated to helping guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. Ladies, if you want to know what your guy is thinking, this podcast is for women too. Each week, a special guest helps you create that life you've imagined. We talk anti-aging medicine, personal growth, relationships and hot sex. Yeah, you hear me, getting laid more frequently, other guy vices, and topics that many don't want to talk about but need to. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old. Don't want to miss anything? Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review this podcast. And be sure to go to www.thestandard.academy/magazine and grab a free copy of our new digital magazine, The Standard Academy, where we talk about erogenous zones, growing hair back, and other things that will help you create that kick-ass life. Now get ready to listen up and share with friends.
This is Orson, the official old guy at oldguytalkstome.com, a podcast dedicated to helping older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. And well, some of that has to do with kind of enjoying some racing. Maybe not you being the racer, but maybe watching the racer, seeing the racer cars, seeing them in person, seeing videos and stuff like that. And my pleasure today have Matt Haugen of Haugen Racing. He's from Scottsdale, Arizona, and was born in St. Paul, Minnesota. He is a professional drift team driver, SEMA card builder, and content creator. He loves drifting, comedy, off-road building cars, and making videos. And one of his main focuses is his YouTube channel, which we're going to have a link to that in the program notes, in the show notes. So you can make sure you find it. It's actually a lot of funny shit there. He does content, includes reaction videos, how to drift video games, off-roading, and more. And he also has an online shop at www.haugenracing.com, where you can get some really cool shit. And it's also where he creates his automotive and Japanese-inspired streetwear and accessory. And his next big move is going to Japan, which we're going to talk about also in the podcast. And besides drifting, he's building show cars. He's a big supporter of education. He recently acquired his Master's of Science in Entrepreneurship and Innovation from the University of Spoiled Children. Yes, I actually graduated from the university. I finished my periodontal residency at the University of Spoiled Children, and it was that. When I graduated from dental school, I got a watch. And I had two classmates that were from USC that were in my residency program. And one of them got an RX-7, which I thought was really cool.
That's very nice.
And then the other one, which I thought was like, okay, this is a whole different level. She got an XJS. So when I say University of Spoiled Children, yes, most of the students were driving nicer cars than the faculty members were. So, so Matt, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Yeah, good to be here. I was going to say that, man, that intro just like hyped me up. I feel good about myself after hearing that.
Oh, good. Well, if you ever need therapy, you can just listen to it again.
Yeah. I'm just going to turn that intro on.
Download, put it on. So let me ask you, as I asked this question, what is the most important thing you've done today?
Most important thing I've done today? Trying to be present in the moment. That's like a big thing for me. Just trying to like Because it gives you so much when you're present in the moment and you're present for whatever the task is at hand right now. You're not thinking about the past or future. It leads to so many different things. So that's the biggest thing I've done today, is just being present for everything I'm doing.
All right.
Including this podcast with you.
Okay. So in the present too, I'm going to ask you another question that I normally don't ask people. That's one I asked all my guests. The first one, that's a question. Let me ask you, how often do you change your hair color? And is it like on a whim, or is there a schedule, or what's the whole scenario? Because folks, this is for those of you that are watching on YouTube. Well, you'll see he's got blue hair today. It's kind of there's a particular tinge of blue. It's not, but I've seen it with red, orange, I think green, yellow, silver, all sorts of stuff. So how often do you change your hair color? And like I said, is it like on a schedule? Do you like do it once a week, once a month, or is it like kind of like whim based, like when you feel like it?
So I do it every 2 months. Because basically, without getting too much detail, you don't want to bleach your hair like more often than every 2 months, especially with guys' hair, because it's short. You just keep like annihilating it, and it'll just get all like unhealthy, And so every 2 months. And I'll usually stick with the same color for like 4 months, but I don't know. I just get bored and I choose a new color, basically.
Mm-hmm. And when did this whole hair thing start?
Maybe like 2 years ago or something. I was just like, I always had like bleach blonde hair. For a long time, it was just I was a big wakeboarder, and so I was always out in the sun, so it was just like super blonde all the time. And then I like didn't wakeboard as much because I was starting to get into more like doing more car stuff and drifting, and I still wanted blonde hair. So I started bleaching it. And then I like looked around one day and I was just like, man, I feel like everybody's got their hair bleached blonde now. Like I just look like everybody else. So I was like, what can I do? Maybe I should color it. So like I went to my hairstylist and was like, let's do something different. And like, she just started suggesting colors from there on out. And I just kind of went with it.
So you have a hair stylist. Yes.
I do.
With that much color, you got to have a hairstylist. That kind of coloring does not happen in a barbershop. I'll guarantee.
No, probably not. Maybe the right barbershop. But
I don't know.
But okay. You know what's funny? What I found out, and some of you guys might find this interesting. It now, because YouTube is my main, like the main thing I do besides drifting. And in the thumbnails, the thumbnail and title are the two most important things of a YouTube video. Arguably, the thumbnail is the number one most important. Mm-hmm. And now when I'm showing my face in these thumbnails, I'm rotating hair colors. And so in the thumbnail, there's bright red, and then there's bright blue for some videos and bright yellow. And so that's been kind of fun for me to just kind of keep the thumbnails fresh and just always adding like a different color in there. Sure. So I don't know if it works or not. We'll find out. But
we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get back into this racing thing, and then we'll talk about some of your attire later on here. So how did you get started in cars?
So I was probably like many of you that are into cars, where I was just like into it. I felt from like day one, like as a baby. I had like Hot Wheels and all that good stuff. My dad was like, I call him, and this isn't like a bad thing by any means, but it's the only way I can think of to explain it. I call him like your average car enthusiast. So he's not building cars and going crazy in his garage. He's never raced. He's not drag racing or anything like that. But he's like goes to car shows every couple months, enjoys like, the old hot rod shows. And he's always had something, kind of cool. Not anything super heavily customized, but always kind of having a cool car on the side. And so I guess when I was like a baby, he was bringing me to car shows in my stroller. Like we go to old hot rod shows and things like that. And so I don't know if it was from him or just innate, but yeah, I was just into cars from day one. But it was never, I don't come from like a racing family or anything like that. And so it was never in my mind for me to like race myself or really do anything too crazy with cars, but it kept pulling me. So like, for example, in high school, I had a fun little like car customization business. And I would just like, I would just like take people's headlights and taillights and put underglow on and just whatever you can think of, random little things that kids were too lazy to do themselves, but thought was cool and wanted on their car. I would do them, and I'd make like, you know, my spending money for the month. And then I started building cars for the SEMA show, which is really cool. Like
what is SEMA? What is SEMA?
So SEMA is it's like the biggest aftermarket parts convention for cars. And so it's based in the United States. It happens in Las Vegas once a year, but it's where manufacturers and the OEMs come as well. And they'll show off like, you know, their aftermarket stuff or new cars coming out. And then you have, you know, I mean, you name it, like just off the top of my head, like Edo Brock and Holly is there, all the wheel companies, Toyo, all the tire companies, you know, they're all there showing off their new products. And then it's because they're showing off their new products, they generally want cars there in their booths with those products on them. And so it's become a really big thing in the industry where car customizers and car builders build cars specifically for the SEMA show, showcasing these new products. And so I actually got to have my first car in, I think it was 18 years old. And then that just became my thing. I just got obsessed with like building my own personal daily drivers and trying to get them in the SEMA show. So and then later on down the road, like my parents saw that like I really wanted to try racing and just do something. So for our birthday, they sent me to like a track experience day here in Phoenix at Bondurant. And I just fell in love. I was like, this is so cool. I was driving, I don't like Corvettes that much personally, but they're great track cars. But it was so fun, like ripping Corvettes around and just learning like the very basics of racing. That was about 20 or 21 years old, I think. And now we're here. Like it just kept pulling me. I mean, it's been such a long journey and a crazy journey. And I kind of avoided making racing, you know, my only career for so long, but now that's what I do. So,
okay. And so you've settled. So why don't you explain to, because a lot of people don't know, I did not know until I met you, what drift car racing is and why did you choose that particular form of racing versus all the other racing forms out there?
Yeah. So if you guys have ever heard of or seen Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was one or 14.
yeah. So that right there is drifting when they're going sideways. You know, Fast and Furious is generally like a lot of drag racing and street racing, but the Tokyo Drift movie was all about drifting. And now in today's Fast and Furious, you'll see them going sideways, doing a little bit of drifting. That's actually a sport. There's a whole motorsport around putting the car sideways, and kind of things drifters like to say is like, you know, it's not the fastest way around the corner, but it's the most exciting. And I truly believe that. And so when I first experienced it, I was at a road racing event, or like a track day rather. We were learning this exercise of how to control the car when it goes into an oversteer. An oversteer is the start of a drift. So when the rear wheels slip out and you lose that traction in the rear end of the car, we were learning how to control that and recover it. And I just like stomped on the throttle and kept drifting. And I was just going around in a circle around these like cones, like 100 feet wide. And I was like, this is so freaking cool. I'd seen it in Tokyo Drift. I'd watched a little bit of drifting online, but I was like, this is amazing. And then it was like a paradigm shift. That sounds really intense, but for me, it was like, okay, I don't want to pursue racing. I want to do drifting. This is way sicker. And like, it's not, you know, NASCAR, all the cars, and drifting will change eventually, I have a feeling, but as of right now, NASCAR and Formula One, they're spec series. And so the cars are all very similar. There's very, very strict rules on the length, the width, the weight, the power. Drifting is not like that. Basically, if it's a rear wheel drive car and front engine, it has to be a car as well. It can't be a truck. You can compete in it professionally. You can put pretty much any motor you want in it, any amount of power. The spec only comes in on the tire size relative to the weight of the car. And so that's kind of how they kind of maintain speeds, if that makes sense, and flatten the field. But what's cool is you can build whatever you want, customize it how you want, and show off your style.
Yeah. Take us, Matt, take us through a race. You know, like what's the distance, what's the speeds, and what constitutes a win in drift car racing?
Yeah, so it's not a race.
Okay.
First and foremost, it's actually a battle, which is even cooler in my opinion because we're battling it out, right? There's this thing called tandem in drifting. Tandem's two, right? And so it's two cars battling it out. So it basically starts out, the judges. This is the main way it works. There are series that do it slightly differently. But the main way it works is there's three judges and they judge you off of line, angle, and style. And so line, there'll be anywhere from 3 to 5 turns. It's not like a whole lap. So you'll usually start and take off down a straight, do a big entry, where an entry is like where you initiate the car. And then there'll be 3 to 4, maybe 5 turns. And they'll tell you, we want your rear bumper on this wall here. We want you to nose the car up on the apex of this corner. And if you do that, that's 100 points on line. Angle, they want maximum angle as long as it's not slowing you down or disrupting like the smoothness of the drift, but more angle, the better. And then style is that's kind of how you put everything together. And they want you to make it look dangerous, make it look exciting. Mm-hmm. So for them, it's like the closer you are to the wall and how on throttle you were, how committed you were to that, that's going to score you higher in style. So everyone qualifies out of 100 points. They're put in a bracket. Highest qualifier goes against lowest qualifier, so on and so forth. And then you battle. And so it's lead versus chase driver. Lead driver is trying to set a 100-point qualifying run. So just do what he did in qualifying. The chase driver is trying to mimic the lead driver, but be as close as possible. And so literally like we're touching sometimes while drifting at, 80, 90 miles per hour. So it's really gnarly. And so the lead driver and chase battle once, and then they switch positions and they battle again. And out of that comes a winner and they move on to the next battle. So that's as fast as I could explain it. That is a drifting competition in a nutshell.
Yeah, and typically, how long is that track? How long is the race in time and distance, roughly?
So it's like 3 to 5 turns, and so I mean it takes anywhere from like 30 to 45 seconds to get through like a run, maybe even shorter sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's very quick, and that's usually depending on the event. I mean, we're initiating between like 80 and like 120 miles per hour on the top end. It's not actually that fast, but you're going sideways, and generally there's like walls around you. Mm-hmm. And so it's really gnarly. It feels really, really fast. It feels like you're going like 200 because you're just sideways. And it's
yeah,
it's crazy.
And I imagine that there are wrecks at times.
Oh yeah, especially because the goal is to be as close as possible to the wall and also to the other car. And so the nice thing is generally when they happen, we're not going like that fast. We're going like maybe 60, 70. Mm-hmm. And so it's a different game than if you crash in NASCAR, at like 180 or something like that. Sure. So the biggest thing with drifting is we're always hitting the rear end on walls because they want us to literally scrape the wall. They don't want you to like crunch the rear end in, but it happens. Like every round, there's multiple cars that the rear end is just all smashed up. So we actually build them for that. It's all either fiberglass or carbon fiber, or even carbon Kevlar in the rear end. And we have these things called bash bars that are like, they're bumpers that crush really easily and you just bolt new ones on. So as far as like totaling cars out, that really doesn't happen too often, which is fortunate because because we don't like, almost everyone doesn't have like a backup car. It's not like NASCAR and Formula One where they come with like multiple cars. Most guys have one car. That's their car for the season. They got to just keep driving it and fixing it.
So I imagine you tear up some tires on these races.
Yeah. So the goal is to get 2 laps out of your rear tires. You cannot change tires. And the reason that is, in between qualifying runs, you could change tires. But when you're in battle, it's those 2 runs. You're not allowed to change tires in between those 2 runs. So you have to make your tires last for a battle, which is 2 laps. If it goes to one more time, which happens a lot, they can't clearly decide a winner. Then drivers go back, and basically what they did doesn't matter anymore. They change tires, freshen up the cars, and they battle again. But yeah, so our cars are set to get just barely 2 laps out of the tires. So that's what we get. Even like on practice days and stuff, I'll maybe get 3, maybe 3.5, but generally it's like 2 laps. And those are brand new racing tires.
Yeah, which I assume are not cheap.
No. I mean, if you're gonna be competing, you better have a tire sponsor. So
okay, yeah. So how much are, just out of curiosity, how much are those tires roughly if you're paying retail for them?
They're like $300 to $400, sometimes a little more a tire. So I mean, you think about it, if you I mean, there's probably someone who can do it, but there's nobody that's buying retail tires and drifting, because it's like that would be, $800 every 2 laps.
Yeah.
Just on tires.
Yeah, that's would be a very expensive sport.
Yeah.
And yeah. So you are moving to Japan.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What's that all about? Why Japan? And what takes you there?
So a couple of reasons. I'm competing in Formula Drift Japan this year, and so Formula Drift is like the Formula One of drifting. So it's the top series. There are other series, but it's definitely the top tier right now and the most popular. They do have a series in the USA. That's the biggest one, but they also have one in Japan. And so for me, because at the top of my mind, I'm like, I want to win. I want to get trophies, but I'm not a racer in that sense where that's like my only goal. The main thing I love about drifting is the entertainment factor. I love drifting, taking people for ride-alongs, making YouTube videos, and just, spreading the sport of drifting and just making people happy. And there's something so much fun about that. And so competition is important to me, but number one is entertainment and, what I can do for the YouTube. And so when I looked at either doing Formula Drift US or Japan, I was like, I could either be, another American competing in Formula Drift US, making YouTube videos. There's plenty of those guys and they're doing a great job. Or I can be the only American competing in Formula Drift Japan and making YouTube videos. And I think those are much more compelling videos and separates me.
Yeah. So do you have a time frame how long you're going to be in Japan, or is it going to be going back and forth between Japan and the States and all that stuff? And
so I'm moving there like permanently. Not like permanently. I'm moving there. Yeah. So like I'm in the process. I'm leaving April 14th. Literally today, at the time of us filming this, I just got my visa. So I'm super excited about that. I was supposed to leave on April 1st and I got denied at the airport because they didn't like my visa. It's just such a nightmare. And so I drove out to the Los Angeles embassy on Monday and resubmitted it. And I just got it today. So my new flight's April 14th. And I'm moving there. So we shipped my pro car that we built for 400 Japan. That's been on the way since the start of January. I just shipped out my practice car and my 350Z yesterday. I'm moving everything over there. I'm moving over there. I'm all in.
Okay. And we're in Tokyo, or you do outside Tokyo, or do you...
Yeah, that's the plan right now. I want to try living downtown Tokyo. I just think it would be a cool experience. And make for just a really a fun, interesting life and an interesting story as well for the YouTube channel. I'm partnered with Buy Now Japan out there. They sponsor another driver in Formula Drift Japan, and he also competes in Formula Drift US. He's a Japanese driver. So that's going to be my home base, my shop, all that stuff. Eventually, I'd like to get my own shop again. But the focus this year is really focusing on focus twice. The focus this year is really about drifting at least once a week in real life, just getting as much track time as possible, making a bunch of videos, and then competing in Formula Drift Japan.
Okay.
Do you need accountability? Are you looking to change the course of your life but have failed to keep on track? Too often we take in information and fail to act. Do you need an accountability program to stay the course? then go to www.thestandard.academy and find out about my accountability program that goes with my course that helps you find out what you want, why you want it, and how to get it. The accountability program keeps you on track to get results.
So let's talk about your videos. And I know when I was first introduced to you, I got a chance to see your video, which I thought was a pretty funny. A day in the life of a Lamborghini driver. So and I do have to tell you that I did go not as fancy as you did, but I was in a beer mug onesie with my daughter at El Supero on Christmas Day because we need to get some potatoes for Christmas dinner. So,
that's awesome.
but yours. So tell us a little about that video, and I would encourage you guys, and we're gonna have a link to Matt's YouTube channel in the show notes, so you can take a look at it yourselves. But tell us a little bit about that video and what kind of possessed you to do that. And it's a funny video. It's really good. It's a great video.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I've been doing YouTube for, I think, 2.5 years now, or I'm coming up on 3 years, I believe. When I started, it was just about showing kind of like who I am and just some background on me. Cause I was doing Instagram. I was kind of like an influencer, quote unquote, with like Instagram and Facebook. But people were like, we don't know that much about you. Like, we see you have these cool cars and are drifting and all that stuff. Like, why don't you do YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And so I finally buckled and started it. But it was more about just showing behind the scenes. And then we just started kind of trying stuff. And so there's like this stereotype about rich guys and about Lamborghini owners. And I think we all kind of know one of the stereotypes, and it's like, they're just kind of douchebags, And so I was like, what if now just
just let me ask you, Matt, just so we get some clarity on this. Is that Lamborghini yours, or did you just lease it for the shot?
No, so that was I actually bought that from my dad. So he bought it like way back. It's a 05, and he bought it like way back, and it was just his like fun car. And then we ended up, it's this crazy story, but we ended up meeting Wataru Kato from Liberty Walk at the SEMA show when I was like 21.
Who's that? Who's that? I'm a lot of people don't know who that is.
Yeah. So Liberty Walk, if you guys have ever seen like like my Lamborghini, the riveted on like over fenders. So it's like these crazy wide body and low exotic cars. Mm-hmm. Liberty Walk is the one who makes those body kits. They're based in Japan. Mm-hmm. And so my dad and I met him, and he wanted to make like the Lamb was actually behind me right there. There's a picture of it, but he had made 20 of these kits, and they were all in Japan, and he owned like 4 of the Lambos that had them himself. And when he met me and my dad, he realized like we have a very similar relationship to him and his son. And at the time I spoke no Japanese, and Kato speaks very little English. But we had this like heart-to-heart connection, and this like just this understanding. It was like so wild. It's hard to put into words. But he was like, I want to make you guys like a 1-of-1, like a 21st kit. He's like, I discontinued the kit, but like, I understand like your dad has a Murcielago, and like you guys are best friends. Like, I want to make you guys a body kit. And we were just like blown away. Like, we just went over to see the cars and say hi at the SEMA show. And so after that, we ended up getting the body kit and putting it on and putting wheels and air suspension on it. And I pretty much just kind of stole it from my dad. So then I ended up just buying it because I was like, he doesn't even like driving it anymore because it's so low and complicated to drive. So yeah, so then it became mine. And then with the video thing, it was like, there's this funny stereotype, and like I don't fit it, and neither did my dad when it was his. But it is a stereotype out there. And so I was like, how can I just like, a day in the life of a Lamborghini owner? And so I had this Versace robe that my ex-girlfriend bought me, which is even funnier because she's probably pissed when she sees that video. He's like, why is he still wearing the robe I got him? And so I put that on.
So just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
I'm sure you priced it out. How much is a Versace bathrobe?
It's like $1,000 or something. It's retarded.
You got, so she gave you $1,000. She must have a lot of money.
She really doesn't. But it was like a birthday and Christmas present combined, and she really thought I needed it, I guess. It was a very nice gift. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, no, it looks like a royal, a royal garment. It doesn't look like a bathrobe. It looks like more like you see it on a set of a show of some, old time royalty.
Exactly.
It's got all embroidered and all sorts of shit on it.
Yeah, it's outrageous. So I had that, and then I had Gucci flip flops, or slides as the new name for flip flops. And I was like, what if I just like kind of show what I think maybe this like stereotype guy would do, but like put it on a whole new level. And so in the morning, like one of the first clips, I wake up and I'm like brushing my teeth in the robe, and like I already have my sunglasses on, and I have Hennessy sitting there, and I use that to like swish out my toothpaste. It's just like so outrageous. Yeah. And then like we go through the valet, and that's like kind of one of the other jokes sometimes about these guys is like, they're maybe trying to look really rich, and they're able to get themselves a Lamborghini, but they don't, they spent like all their money on it, and they don't really have that much money. So like that was kind of a joke going through the valet. I like tipped them like $5 or something, like just like such a jerk. But whenever I did these pranks, I always went back right after we finished like the scene, and I was like, hey, like this is a joke, and like I'd make it right, like tip him more or whatever if it was something like that. But yeah, I don't know. And it was I wanted to do something different on the YouTube channel. That's kind of always my goal. But I was like, what if we could combine comedy and cars? And so I coined it automotive parody, and we ended up making like 60 videos, I think, that are all like skit based and comedy videos. They're all improv comedy. Like we'd never write scripts. We would write like outlines, and then it was just kind of off the top of the head. And what's fun for me about it is I don't come from an acting background. I still don't claim to be an actor, but I was truly acting and improv acting, and it was a challenge, but I think I was okay at it for what I did, and I'm proud of that. So we haven't done any for a while, unfortunately, but it was a fun ride for sure. I'd like to do them in the future, but
I suspect we'll be seeing some from you in Japan. I think it'll be ripe for especially I imagine eating weird food.
Yeah, like a rich guy, I don't know, like Lamborghini owner travels to Japan and eats food. I don't know, just whatever. It could just be funny. Wear the robe around, check stuff out.
So Matt, you say you're a big supporter of education. Why and what role has that played in your life?
Oh man. So just a background, my mom has a PhD. And so for her, like education was huge. And she got her undergrad and then worked at General Electric, and she was kind of on the corporate ladder. This is like years ago when she was in her 20s. But after that, she decided to pursue her PhD, and she really credits like all her success and knowledge and where she's gotten in life because of her education. So growing up, it was always like, you got to get straight A's, you got to do your best, you got to keep, all opportunities open. And so, through grade school, high school, like I got straight A's, and it was just like, I really didn't have a choice. I mean, if I had just really said no, maybe I wouldn't go to college, but they're like, you're going to college. And so I got a full ride scholarship to ASU, and I applied to other colleges too, but I went to private high school, and I was like, I really want to go.
Which one did you go to in Phoenix?
Notre Dame Preparatory.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is the version of what's that Beverly Hills show? Oh my God, that's the Richie Rich school, even for Phoenix.
Yeah,
even for the Phoenix metropolitan area. Oh my God, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I did not like it. I did not fit in there. I was not a fan. But so I was like, when I go to college, like I'm gonna go have some fun and go like somewhere exciting. So I did ASU. Um, and but it's like the one thing I'll say for that high school is I did get a really good education out of it. I didn't have the most fun high school experience. College was incredible. I had so much fun. But it I do feel like that high school prepared me to like do well in college and get into good colleges and get good scholarships. Like I got to go to college for free. So I mean it did well for that.
Sure.
Um and just going and I wanted to go to college. Like and even through college, I was like, someday I'll get my master's, and still on my mind is potentially getting a PhD in the future. And not that I plan on teaching or anything with it, but just as kind of a life goal or whatever. But for me, what bugs me is like I see a lot of people saying, college is overrated, and like you rack up all these loans and it doesn't actually prepare you for anything. The problem is I think it's became this thing where like you have to go through high school, and now people are kind of thinking you have to go through college too, and they're not looking at tech schools or just getting into some kind of career that doesn't require a college degree and working your way up. And so now there's all these degrees that they don't really do anything for you, and that's unfortunate. And so it's like, you are wasting your time going, but there's still a lot of degrees and things that prepare you very well if you continue with that degree and that line of career. So for me, my undergrad was in entrepreneurship. That's what I'm still doing today. So absolutely, my degree helped tremendously. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but if I had gotten that entrepreneurship degree and then decided, I don't know, I was going to be a car mechanic, let's say, then it would have been a waste of time, and I would have been paying off student loans that I didn't need. So
I think college, not that it's overrated, but it's not the right answer for a lot of kids. Especially because it is a truth. It's a tragedy that a lot of these people rack up huge debts, and then they have no skill that is economically feasible. Yep. And next thing you know, they're a highly educated person that's working as a barista at Starbucks. And that's just trying to pay off their student loans. So unless you're going into something that's really going to be economically feasible at the end, and that's not to say, but there's always the unicorn out there. People go, well, what about him? Well, those are unicorns. You're not, people go like, oh, people say like, what do you want to be? Well, I want to be like Elon Musk. Well, you're not going to be like Elon Musk. He's a unicorn. You're not, it's just, I'm sorry that the people that said you can be anything you want in your life lied to you. You will not be Elon Musk.
You know what though? I'm a believer in that still.
Oh, come on. I mean, I believe in achievement. I totally get it. I'm totally every day.
No, I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's all about being a better version of myself today than I was yesterday, and pushing myself and whatever. But no matter how much I practice, no matter how many hours in the gym I'm going to spend, there is no fucking way I'm going to play in the NBA.
Sure. Yeah. There's
I mean, it's just, so somebody said, oh, you can be anything you want to be, or you can play in the NBA. No fucking way.
My thing. So I've always I really believe I can do anything I want, but I also know that there's certain things that you just can't change. Right. For me, I'm 6 foot, and it's like, I don't have any interest in playing in the NBA, but just to use that example, it's like, probably couldn't do that. Even if I trained my ass off, I'm just a little bit short. But so that's like one, but that doesn't mean I can't do all these other things. You know what I mean? And so it's like, for me, like this drifting thing, it's like, I didn't start racing until I didn't even get my first experience until I was 21. And so it's like, a lot of people would say, man, that's like late to try to become a professional race car driver or drift car driver. And it's like, I'm doing it, like I haven't succeeded yet. I'm not there. It's not like I haven't met the goal, but I'm a professional drift car driver, and I'm on that route. And so it's like, it's taken me a while, but
and you've got sponsors, and you're going to Japan, and you're you're making a living at it. And so that's pretty damn good, because most people go into a lot of these things often and don't actually are not able to sustain themselves economically.
Yeah. So and even more economically is the mental part and just your life. So like for me, it's like, what are you willing to like sacrifice, and what do you like, how badly do you want this thing?
Sure.
And that can lead to like a toxic mindset, which it did for me as well. But it's like at the end of the day, it was still worth it for me. So like I pretty much sacrificed my 20s. Like a lot of people, they're going out and they're like building families, building this career, getting a house. They're hanging out with their friends on the weekends. They have hobbies. Like I don't have any of that stuff. I've sacrificed all that shit because I work every day, all day. And I have since I was 21 years old. And so it's like, I didn't think it would take this long. I thought it was gonna be a couple of years of sacrifice. Like in entrepreneurship, in my degree, we talk about this all the time in undergrad. And it's like, you sacrifice a couple of years of your life so you can get a whole new one. And it's like, man, it's been freaking almost 9 years for me. So like, I'm getting tired of it. But I'm still here and I'm still rolling, and I do believe it'll be worth it, because I don't want to be someone who looks back and is like, why didn't I try that? Why did I give up on that? And whatever I ended up doing, I'd figure out how to be happy with it, I guess, or be content. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me up to a question I didn't think I was going to, hadn't thought about asking, because it sounds like in your mind, there's a end game. Is there an end game for you, or do you know what it is at this point?
I have a pretty clear vision. And I got this vision. A lot of things built up to this vision, but I got this vision last fall. I don't want to get like too weird on you, but I was doing this like 4-hour long meditation. And
I mean, I meditate every day, so it's not that weird. But 4 hours is I could never do 4 hours, because I have to get up and pee every 2 hours. But I'm that old.
Maybe I'm like, it's probably more me that has like, because meditation's been a new thing for me just in the past like 6 months, where I've really like actually done real meditation. So maybe it's more me where I'm like, oh, now we're like in some hippie stuff. So I'm probably the judgy one. But so I pace myself when I start talking about it. But yeah, so I was doing this meditation, and it was about visioning, like seeing clearly and truly where I'm at today, and then visioning where I want to be and what my life looks like. And so I saw myself living in Japan. Haugen Racing was profitable. I was doing YouTube and drifting professionally full time. I had a family. I had a boy and a girl. I had like this nice, wasn't like a crazy house, but it was very nice. It was like contemporary with like Japanese styling. And I just like, I saw this whole vision of my life. I think a lot of things had geared me and led me towards that. But that's also part of the Japan move, is like, I literally saw, what my life was going to look like in my vision. So I'm going out and getting it.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, it has been a pleasure to speak with you, and kind of, we kind of went off into the real deep end here at the end here, but that's fine too. It's interesting how, if you have a plan and you can envision it, you can create the life you want.
Yeah.
So I think it's a credit that you did that. And people, I think too often, and you mentioned this about the opportunity costs of doing what you're doing. Yeah. Too many times people say, they go up and, they see you, they see your nice car or whatever, and they go like, oh, you're lucky. Oh, you're lucky. And it's like, no, motherfucker, while you're playing video games and watching porn, I'm working. I work even on days. I mean, my wife and I work every day of the week, even on days that we call like we're going to take our day off. Yeah. Which means that we're going to stop working at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. We're going to put in about 2 or 3 hours of work, and then we're going to take the day off. It's never like we wake up and take the whole damn day off.
Yeah.
It's like, even the day off, there's a few hours of work that's done.
Yeah. I like making it looking at it even more extreme, but it's like, you're not more extreme necessarily, but it's truthful. And I need to find a little bit more of balance just for you guys like listening. Like, I really do need to have a bit of a social life. Like I've taken it to the extreme, and part of the reason for doing the Japan thing is like right now I'm living at my parents' house, and my parents live like 40 minutes north of where everyone that's kind of in their careers and grinding in Phoenix lives. And so like the few friends that I do have down here, like they're like 40 minutes away from me. And that's where like the restaurants are and the gyms where you'll meet people and all that stuff.
Sure.
And so with moving to Tokyo, I do want to build a bit of a social life because that is healthy. I'm looking for a bit more balance. But I'm like, if I'm in an apartment and I want to live in Shibuya. Shibuya is where a lot of people in Tokyo that are like more around my age. And there's some expats, but a lot of locals as well. They live there and they're kind of going through their daily lives. And so I'm like, maybe, my gym will only be 5 minutes away instead of 20. And so there I save, 30 minutes. Right. And then my coffee shop is just around the corner. Maybe I meet someone there my age and start a friendship. And it's like, I can't hang out with them all night Saturday night, but maybe we can go meet for a coffee in the middle of the day if I take a lunch break. And it's like I can actually kind of pull these things off and create a bit of a social life. So that's part of the plan and goal there too as well.
No, that sounds great. Sounds great. So Matt, we'll look forward to catching up with you maybe in a few months after you're in Japan and finding out what's changed, what's surprised, and what surprised you about moving there, and what you expect, and some of the unique experiences. So we'll look forward.
Let's do it. And like, I don't know what quite the timeline is, but let me get through like the honeymoon phase, right?
Oh yeah.
Then, like that first, I don't know, couple weeks, couple months, I'm like, I'm going to think it's the best spot in the world. But let's get to where I'm like, now I'm seeing like the real Tokyo and the real
Tokyo.
And struggling, to kind of adjust myself and my expectations.
It's like the third month of dating. All of a sudden that's what they're like.
Yeah. Let's talk then, because I think that will be interesting, because I'm not naive. I've lived in a couple other countries. And so it's like, I know I'm going to go through that phase, but I'm just kind of ready to change myself and for kind of whatever it takes. But that would be fun to catch up then.
All right. Absolutely.
My background would be cool. I'll go in front of Mount Fuji or something.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, this is Oris, the official old guy at oldguytalkstome.com. Finishing off here with Matt Haugen of Haugen Racing. There'll be links to his YouTube channel and his website in the show notes again. And I want to encourage you to go to the standard.academy and register to get my free digital magazine, which has lots of life hacks that will help you to create that life that you want, including how to find a woman's erogenous zone, which is a really, really good thing to know how to do. And there's lots of benefits to that. Also, I want you to do several things here. First of all, I want you to subscribe if you have not. I want you to share. I want you to rate. And I want you to review. And if you write me a bad review, you know what? I'm going to love you too. As a matter of fact, if you're like a rabid bad reviewer, like if you like all of a sudden you get kind of like into frenzy and like put 4 or 5 bad reviews all in a row, well, that works really too. And I might even send you a t-shirt and a coffee mug. Because that really drives your ratings up. Yeah, the trolls are really wonderful. So remember, it's all about creating a kick-ass life for yourself and those that you love. Until next time.
Thank you for joining Dr. Orist and his incredible guest. Like what you heard and learned? Then be sure to do 3 things. 1, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. 2, share this with someone who may need to hear it. 3, leave a review and rate this podcast. Opt in at www.thestandard.academy/magazine and get our free digital magazine with savings, articles, and deeper dives into cool controversy. Be the guy who takes action. Without action, you're not going to get the results you want. Thank you again, and make it a great day.